2.5 years. 2.5 years I've been waiting for manual editing to finally come to PCG, and finally we have it here in the preview. Now it is still a 5.8 preview, so not everything is in, but I'm just very excited about this, and I just really want to show you guys kind of the basics of it, because it's already pretty awesome. Because if you're doing any kind of cinematic work, or you're working in virtual production, or anywhere where you need kind of to art direct certain pieces in certain locations, this is really nice. Even when you're doing things like games, being able to not be as exact, and for example, in the collisions of things, and just being able to like nudge things around a little bit afterwards, I think is pretty big. So I want to show you guys kind of the basics of it and what has me so excited. And I'll probably make a follow-up video once it is fully released, going over it more in depth and more use cases. So let me show you. Here I am in the 5.8 preview. Now, one thing to note here is you still need to go into edit plugins and make sure you have PCG turned on, because by default right now it is not enabled by default. But a little birdie has told me that come full release of 5.8, it should be enabled by default. And I'm really looking forward to that. But assuming you've turned it on, restart your engine, and you're good to go, you really just need the base PCG graph here. And all you need to do really is just to grab yourself a graph. In my case, for an example, I'll go right click. And now this menu has changed because we're in 5.8. You now have to go to procedural instead of PCG, and then you see your PCG graph. I'll go ahead and select one, and I'll honestly just grab one of the example ones. For example, this showcase simple forest. It's just to show you what it is. So let's go initialize from template. I'll just call it something like PCG forest. That is fine. But all I'm going to do is just take this and just drag it into the world. And you'll see here, there's our little forest patch. It comes with some trees, some rocks, and some grass. Everything's great. Now, how do we actually now say, okay, you know what? I don't like this tree here. I want to move this, or any of the other ones. Well, all you have to do is go inside your graph. So this is the graph that it comes with for this example. And you have to go to the static mesh spawners. So for example, here's the rocks, trees, and grass. If I want to change the trees on the static mesh spawner, specifically in the detail panel here, I can turn on temporary manual editing enabled. It probably should say enable temporary manual editing, or just enable manual editing, but I mean, that part doesn't matter much. But the main thing is just turn this on, and you'll see here, it shows you this green icon when it is enabled. And now if we take a look here and I select it, you'll see there's nothing here because I've deselected it and reselected it. When I deselect and reselect, and we come back here, you'll see it is off again. So you turn it back on, then move the window, and then here you will see there's some boxes, and I can click on them. And as soon as I do, you will see here in the top right corner, viewport editing, PCG forest. On the static mesh spawner, we're editing the points, and now I can literally just say, hey, this tree, I want it to be over here. I want it to be rotated, and you know what? Let's just make it bigger. Maybe not that big. Let's make it a little bit small. Let's do something like this. I want a really big tree, specifically right here. Maybe we just bring this down even more. Unfortunately, it's not a live update, but still. Right? And now we have this thing. And here you can see we have 35, which I am assuming this is the index of it. And this is the position. Unfortunately, it does not show the rotation and the scale. It's possible it will show it on the full release. At least I'm hoping for it. But we have the position here. And if you're wondering, what if you turn on the rotation and the scale for the signature here? It doesn't change anything. And you can modify this to go ahead and adjust it as you so wish. One thing to note here is we have this in here. So we've moved this tree. Now what happens if I go ahead and now just go to the PCG component, do a cleanup, and then regenerate it? It's still there. It is actually going to be still there. In fact, I can go ahead and select the entire graph and move it a little, and you'll see that tree has maintained its world position, even though I am moving this graph around. Now, if I move it way too far, it will stop spawning it. But as long as it's within a certain distance, I can go ahead and just do whatever I want to this actual graph, and you'll see that the tree will always remain. It doesn't matter if I'm rotating things. As long as we're within a certain distance of it, there's the tree. So if I want to change it again, I have to select this, open the graph again, return on the temporary manual editing enabled, get out of game mode, and now here's the point. And if I wish to, I can keep changing it, or I can go ahead and just press remove this override, which will put it back into position. And you'll notice here, I only have one static mesh spawner here. If I want to, I can turn it on for the rock mesh as well. So we have now the rock mesh and the tree one. And then once you select one of the points, you'll see that we have 2 here. And theoretically, you can move the other one. I say theoretically because it seems like it once again has reset itself. So then if I want to edit the static meshes on the rocks, I can just turn it on for the rocks. And then we'll have the option for the rocks. I can go ahead and move them just like so. And again, it'll add the point. Same thing here. We can just scooch this over. One thing to note though, as you can see, it does not auto regenerate everything around. You're just literally post-generation moving things. So if it was doing a cutout somewhere, well, the cutout's still there. You can adjust it. It's more for like slight adjustments if you're doing it for something like that. Like for example, I can just say, okay, you know what? This one's a little bit too big. I'm okay with this. Let's just do something like this where I want it to be a little more area around it. So make this rock a little bit smaller, for example. And if I want to now, I can re-enable the one on the spawn tree mesh, turn on temporary manual editing enabled again for it. Then I have to click in the scene, then re-enable it again. Then I see the points. Because if I right now turn this on for both of them, so it's on for both. So now if I click here, you'll see I have both of them. And now I can select one or the other. But unfortunately, it's, as you can see, it is a little bit buggy. It is still not fully ready. So if I want to, I can still enable it just for the trees now because we've made changes to the rocks. And now there's the tree points. And again, I can select them, move this tree over. And it seems like it didn't get moved. Let me just click on it, the point one more time. Move it. There we go. Now it has moved. And now I can just go ahead and reposition it. However, so if I had like a camera somewhere and I needed like a tree specifically screen left, I can just add it screen left and make sure that I get that nice shot. Or if a tree's in the way, like I want to really see what's behind this tree here, let me just get that tree out of the way and, I don't know, move it over here. And now, right, I have the view all the way through. Now, again, as you noticed, it's a little bit buggy, right? If I want to now edit the mesh, rock mesh, I have to turn this on. But when I do that, it's not actually displaying it. So when I click on it, everything gets deselected. And then I have to click temporary manual editing enabled again. And now there's the rock mesh, and now I can actually modify it. It is a preview right now. I'm letting it slide. Even with a little bit of bugginess here, I still think this is awesome. Because imagine a scenario where you had something spawned right here. And let's say it was a building. You had a building right here. And you wanted to have a forest all around it. And you wanted to have some nice trees kind of lining the building. So for example, imagine that this cube was a building. And I want to have some actual trees kind of going around this building specifically. Well, I could set up maybe a spline. I could set it up around it. Or I could just say, hey, ignore the build. Let's just do this. And then come here, turn on the manual editing of the trees, and then I can go in here and just say, hey, you know what? Let's position these trees in these locations. Deselect it, so that means I have to go back in here, turn this back on. Again, it's a little bit finicky right now, but we can go in through all of these and everywhere where we had the different things, we can reposition them. We want grass up top, but we don't want it on the bottom. That is fine. We just move it to the side here and bring it down to the ground. So you can actually just control exactly where certain things are. So we can have nice grass on top, but without needing to specifically filter out the area, we can now art direct that says, okay, there's now going to be just a lot of trees specifically around here. Now, could you do this automatically with PCG? Absolutely. This is more so that if you already generated a setup and it's working well and you don't want to kind of change it and you just want to change it for a certain camera angle, like for example here, you're like, oh, you know what, there's just from this angle, I just really don't like how this one tree is just kind of in the way. Let me just move it a little bit away from the corner. So that way, when I look at it from this angle, it doesn't feel like it's just really against that tree. And you can see here, again, all of the points that we've modified are here. We can all change them. You can also choose what to override, right? Position, rotation, and scales, what I've been doing for everything. And you can, of course, remove everything and put it back to where it was. There is point deletion and point selection as well. So for example, I could select this and just say delete selected, and there it goes. I can just say, okay, this one, I don't want it as well. Done. We have removed it entirely. And same thing with the point insertion. I can just say insert point, and it goes ahead and adds an extra point somewhere. And now I can move it here. Now this is absolutely massive. So let's go ahead and just scale this down. Right, let's make it more of a square. And there we go, right? I've now added an extra point here of a tree that didn't exist. So not only can you move things, but you can add points. Insert point. and adds it in the same location as the previous one. So that way from here, you can go ahead and just adjust it further. Just go ahead and scale this down a little bit. So we can have a smaller one, randomize it, and there we go. You can also just click and drag this. It doesn't update in real time, but again, it's fine. It's not that big of a deal. At any point, you can click remove all on the point insertion, point deletion, and the point edit. And as I showed before, if I go ahead and just make this really tall so it's out of the bounds, so it won't actually spawn the grass up top, and then I go and do a cleanup and generate of this entire graph, you'll see all of the trees we moved and all of the positions that we've set up, right? It's still there. So it seems like a few more trees needed to be moved, but that's okay, right? We can adjust those. The main thing is, at any point, again, we can go back in here, static mesh spawner, turn on the temporary editing, and then come here, select the points, make sure you're not in game mode. And then there's all your stuff. There's the point editings, there's the insertions, and there's the deletions. And you can go ahead and restore the selected points, restore all, right? You can just put it back exactly where you were. But I hope, nevertheless, you can see why I've been excited for this. One of the big ones for me is, since I have been working in virtual productions on those giant LED walls, making environments for those, one of the big things that people have always said is we can't really use PCG because we need to be able to move things around, because when you're actually doing the actual shoot, you might want to be like, okay, well, that tree's a little bit in the way of the shot. We need to move it. We want to place another one here. We want to remove one here. We want to maybe adjust and rotate, right? You want to do that all live. And this finally allows us to do that, which is freaking sweet. And for those of you that have made it to the very end here, I do want to give you a little bit of a extra little tip here for 5.8, at least in the preview. And that little tip is never press this auto button. This auto layout automatically reposition the nodes in the graph for a better layout. And you might be thinking, okay, well, this is a pretty nice layout. Well, with nothing selected, because it's important, it only does the things that are selected. If you have nothing selected, it does the entire graph. I hit auto layout, and this is the layout. This is the layout that it decides is the best and most optimal layout for this entire thing. These are on different heights. It's all wobbly. We have this one kind of here for some reason. I don't know. If I just select these three and I did auto layout, right, it doesn't do anything. If I moved these and then just selected then these three, did auto layout, it puts them back in that location. So it doesn't even do it relative to each other. And the worst thing is, you can't undo this. So please be careful with that button. At the preview level, at least, just be aware there is no undo for this. I'm hopeful they will have an undo in the final release of 5.8. Fingers crossed. There's a lot of bugs here, as you noticed, but it's a preview, letting it slide. I don't think any of these are such massive bugs that they wouldn't be able to knock out a fix for them within a month. I think it's all very doable and manageable. There's a lot more in 5.8 and just this one tool that it has to offer. I'm looking forward to using it. I don't really have a project file for you guys for this because there's not much to it. But nevertheless, I want to give a big thank you to my Patreon supporters. It really means a lot. And if you'd like to join the community, the link to the Discord and everything else is in the description below, as always. And if you didn't know that 5.8 preview and the roadmap are out, I recommend checking out the roadmap video that I released just a few days ago.